Good day and welcome to the American Dream Impactor Show. I'm your host, Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Bell.
And we are here to, we're going to help you like just throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your year. And we're going to talk about things like
every area of our life,
yes.
Mental, emotional, physical, financial, spiritual. We're going to cover it all.
Now, the financial piece, folks, I know that's the thing that, drives people very, very hard. And let me just share with you who I am. I'm Dom Fawcett. I'm an executive coach, and this is 960 The Patriot. Executive coach and speaker, and radio show host, and ex-cop, prior military, all that jazz. And then, I have there's the softer side.
Catherine Bell, and I'm an investor and a business owner and a mom and a mentor and a coach, and goodness, it just goes on and on.
You know what I think is cool, Catherine? The fact that as your lovely other half stated, it's the time of this recording. It is 2/22/2022. Now, I don't know what that means.
Right.
I think you were telling us what that meant.
Yeah, so what they're saying is, you can go on any social media and it's like all over the place right now, that what they're saying is that from a spiritual aspect, it's like a major portal is open. This is the most powerful portal, whatever that means. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about if you're going to create something, create it now. And how perfect we're creating this show today.
Yes.
It's like no limiting ourselves, no limiting anything what we can actually do. I mean, you know what my goals are, and it's like, so why not now have that be unlimited? So when we create our goals and we say that, it's like I've always created I am so happy and grateful that, and whatever the goal is, or better, because as human beings, we limit what we believe that we're capable of because we don't want to fail, right? But what if God, the universe, what if they were all conspiring to have our dreams and our heart's deepest desires come true? Then what would actually be possible?
Anything's possible. I mean, you take a kid from where I grew up who stuttered his entire life, is now a radio show host and a TV show host.
Right.
And you brought something up, or no, you didn't bring something up. I don't know. I know more about you than our listeners do.
Yes.
So you're on track to be Arizona's. Can I say? I think that's pretty cool. I like that. It's pretty cool. So, folks, let me explain something to you. I want you to hone in on the types of people that you listen to. Catherine Bell's on track to be Arizona's first self-made female billionaire. Mm-hmm. Right. Your ears just perked up. I know they did. So when you tune in every Sunday at 1 p.m., understand that there's going to be anything that we talk about at the end of the show, you can implement something that's going to make your life better. We have different mantras. Let's talk about our mantras. Mine, one of mine is change one life every day for the rest of your life, and think as an executive, react like a soldier, and lead in everything that you do. And I know you've got a handful.
We do, yeah. So it's being the sentinels of the American dream. Mm-hmm. Again, part of our title.
Correct.
And that everything that we do, every company, every organization, nonprofit that I have, we leave every person, property, and community better than we found them.
I love it.
That is a critical piece. And then, of course, I add commas to bank accounts and collapse timelines.
So I personally, okay, you don't know this. Folks, I'm an executive coach, and I help some of my clients who want to go into the entrepreneurial space frame their elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And I use that one in a guy who's he does something for the Las Vegas Police Department, rules and regulations, some high-level job. But I use collapsing commas or collapsing timelines and adding commas to your banking. And he said, man, that's genius. I said, bro, I cannot take credit for this. This came from Catherine Bell. I don't know if he followed you or not, but where'd that come from? I think it's pretty cool.
So actually it was at, funny enough, an Aaron Young event. And we had
that's where we met.
Yeah, we had a few seconds to stand up and basically introduce ourselves and who we are and what we do. And I have an insane list of what I'm up to that it's too much to, collapse into 30 seconds. And so ultimately it comes down to that. Everything I do is I add commas to bank accounts and I collapse timelines. At the end of the day, straight across the board, that's what I do.
That's probably, and I've seen and heard and created a lot of quotes or phrases for brands like that. That makes people in the front of the room look back like, who is this lady? So yeah, that's pretty cool, folks. If you don't know, I know we haven't said it a lot, but this is the American Dream Impactor show. And it is what it is. We are, now, Catherine's Canadian, but that has nothing to do with where we're at. We are in America. And
but okay, so that's really good given what's happening like in the
yes.
political climate right now.
Right.
Okay, so yes, I am Canadian, and I immigrated to this country in 2001. Actually, it was like 5 months before 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And my parent, when 9/11 happened, I mean, I was like, what the heck did I just do? So I had married an American, and that's how I came into the country. And when we were first engaged, the question was, do we stay in Canada or do we stay in the U.S.? And at the end of the day, I am an entrepreneur at heart.
Probably a good place to be for entrepreneurship.
And an investor, it absolutely is. Like when it comes to this country, and I think this is the thing that people who are from here don't realize, like, oh my goodness, the rules, the regulations, the opportunities, the possibilities, everything that's available in this country truly is not available in other countries.
Oh, we're very lenient.
Yes. And everything is set up seriously to have entrepreneurs and investors really succeed. Other countries, including Canada, are not that way.
Well,
everybody thinks that Canada's the same. It's not. People don't realize I was 21 years old, paying 54% taxes. 54% taxes.
That hurts.
I was bringing home less than what I was when I was paying in taxes.
Ooh.
So when people talk about free medical care,
you can keep
that wasn't free.
Right.
Like I was paying.
You were overcharged for it.
I was paying for a whole other family to essentially, dare I say it, sit on welfare.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is not okay with me. So that's one thing I love about this country is the tax law. Like everything is set up for entrepreneurs.
Oh, you're set up to win.
Yes.
I mean, I had a 40, 50-hour-a-week job, and I would leave my job and go home and create what now is called Think, React, Lead, to be a speaker and an executive coach and write a book and all these things and get paid immediately. There was no...
Right?
I didn't have to fill out forms. It was, hey, what do you do? I do this. Can you show me how to do that? Sure can. Intellectual property. I'm going to charge you for it. Oh, how much is it? And then, boom, you start making money. You don't have to give it back. I mean, when you structure it properly,
yes,
some of it goes back. But
for sure. But you get a say in that, right?
You do.
I didn't get a say in it in Canada. So come to this country. I was 26 years old. And my husband at the time, he had a dream, and we literally took his dream, and we were millionaires by the time I was 30.
That feels great.
That was like, how do you do that? I mean, it was, again, because everything is literally set up to succeed.
Now,
like,
folks,
how cool is that?
A lot of it is, so that's how it's set up, but being born here, a lot of it's mindset, folks, and I want you to understand it's, if you wake up with gratitude. You said, what am I grateful for? When you wake up and you start your day with what am I grateful for, you don't concern yourself about all the negative things that are going on. I can't stop negativity, right? But I can definitely add a lot of positivity and optimism to my day. And that changes everything.
Yes, it absolutely does. And we have the ability to have that impact. Again, the American Dream, Impactor show. That's who we are. And that's what we're going to show you is literally you have the power to impact your own world and the world that's around you.
Mm-hmm. It makes it when you wake up. I can't speak for you. When I wake up and I tell myself I'm going to get opportunities today. It changes the way I dress when I leave my house. It changes the way I show up when I'm meeting the cashier. When I don't. You're not negatively emotionally based decisions don't happen when you are, I'm going to say, chasing the American dream. Because when you're working on, now we've got a radio show and you've got real estate and I've got a TV show and you own a hedge fund. You're a hedge fund owner and I've got other businesses.
We have the mastermind.
Right. Yep. We're growing. We're married. We have kids. Like everything is growing. It's going up. We don't have time to get mad if somebody cuts us off in traffic. Like, I don't care.
Right?
It's just, it makes life easy, folks, when you show up Not saying you have to be happy all the time.
No.
Because you and I aren't the happiest.
No.
We're not cheerleaders.
No.
This is cool, but go ahead. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
So the thing that I'm really clear about is that we can't control what happens to us. You can't control if somebody cuts you off in traffic. You can't control the family that you were born into or the circumstances or, you know, my husband, he passed away unexpectedly. Like I was left a single mom and raising twins by myself. I couldn't control any of that.
Right.
But I could absolutely control what I was going to learn from it and what I was going to do with it. 100% I had that control. And so that's everything that we get to control what we learn from it and what we choose to do about it. So anytime that there's a complaint. So this is like a perfect example. So our school system does not teach children financial literacy. Right?
Correct.
They don't teach basic skills like the most important, which is relationship, communication, things like that. So I have twin teenagers. And last year I decided, okay, if the school isn't going to teach it and my husband isn't here, what do we do? Well, it's up to me. It's up to me to find the solution. And we'll talk about that in our, when we come back.
Come back from break. But folks, I want you to understand real quick,
yeah.
Your son's a Marine. We'll talk about that down the road.
I
know. Yes, he graduates this
Friday.
This Friday. So at the time of this show, it's 2/22, or the date of the show, 2/22/2022. So he graduates on the 25th. So kudos to you, like, and everything
finding
that you've done. And folks, what I've done in my life was, and it works for myself and my wife Sophia. We don't complain, we find a resolve.
Yes.
So when you go to your boss because something's not going well, don't go to him or her with a complaint. You go, you state the issue, you state what you think the resolve should be, and then you two can kind of mastermind that out. And trust me when I say it's going to help you promote when you're known as the resolve or the fixer as opposed to the complainer. When we come back from break, we have so much more to talk about. Folks, this is our first show, but it's not our first rodeo. And this is the American Dream Impactor show. Say that to yourself and let it sink in, and we'll see you on the other side. Good day and welcome back to the American Dream Impactor Show. I'm your host, Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Bell.
And we are going to continue to talk about growth. Like, at the end of the day, anything that we talk about is going to help you out. I know a lot of radio shows, podcasts, TV shows say that, but you can go to our Instagrams. I'm at Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Titan.
And you can see kind of the stuff that we do. And we, at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding. And when it comes to you and what you do, like, you have to understand how important your decisions are. And we were talking about negative emotion right before we went to break. I'm not going to say about me. Where do you think you would be if you operated off of negative emotion? Like, I know where I wouldn't be.
So what I like to tell my kids is there's things that we can look at in our lives, and I call it the probable, predictable future, right? So if I had allowed the circumstances in which I was born into to dictate and wallow in those feelings about the whole thing. So let's just say it was not a pleasant childhood, and in and out of multiple homes and lots of abuse and, just missing a whole lot of everything. And I was finally adopted when I was 16. Now, could I be really angry and upset my whole life? A little salty,
definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Right? Like, the probable, predictable future of that is that that I could have observed it. And with kids, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. Mm-hmm. So what I caught was a whole lot of negative, a whole lot of angry, a whole lot of abuse. And what did I had a choice in the matter. I actually had a choice to completely like repeat that cycle or learn from what I witnessed from those adults and people around me when I was a kid, choose to get the lesson and do it a different way. Now, I didn't know the different way. I just knew there had to be a different way because on TV, through media, through just observing different families, different homes I was in and out of, I saw that people were actually happy. So there had to be a way. So that was like the main focus of like, okay, and I got really curious. So anytime that there's negative emotion or negative stuff happens, like really horrible stuff, that's an opportunity for me to get really curious. What are my options? What are my choices? What can I do about it?
And
right?
we have to ask ourselves questions. And I learned, I grew up in a rough environment, and prior military saw some things, prior cops saw some things. And hindsight, or even now, we had things happen to our life. And in a millisecond, before it enters your body, right, what's caught, you decide if it goes to your brain or your heart.
Right.
For me, if it goes to my brain, I can think about what can I take away from this to propel me forward in the future. If it goes to my heart, that's an emotional space that like I control. I don't want things going in there. And when I tell that to people, and they're like, well, it's hard. Well, it's practiced. And it goes back to, what are you waking up and telling yourself?
Right.
Because how many of you guys out there who are listening, when one thing happened to you, you say, oh, bad things always happen to me. Or, these bad things happen in threes. Okay, well, now you
what
just
do
put
you
it out
do
there.
about it? Okay, so what if bad things happen in threes? Then you have 3 opportunities to shift that and turn it into something amazing.
Good things happen to me in threes. Like,
right?
I start saying that, and it's evident in my life.
Yeah, and 3, okay, so then 3 lessons that I get today and do something different with it and make an impact.
It's easy for you, Catherine, because you're rich.
Yeah, no, not
They don't even know your story. They don't know. I mean, time will come as you get to learn, both of us, like what you see today is so not what
I was born into.
Statistically speaking, we shouldn't be here.
Statistically speaking, the probable predictable future is I would have probably become a pregnant teenager with who knows how many kids with how many different men and on welfare. And I mean, that was what was being caught when I was a kid. But I had a choice in the matter, right? I got to actually choose. And so I went on to actually have a different life that, ultimately I ended up, getting married. We were all married for almost 20 years before he passed away. We adopted twins out of the foster care system.
Right.
I actually got to choose how all of that happened. And so back to the point we were talking about, like the school system not teaching financial literacy and all some basic communication skills, relationship skills. So it was up to me. Like I could sit there and complain that the school system's broken. And where is that going to get me? So anytime I find that my brain wants to slip into complaining, I go, hold on, stop. What other options do I have? And so what I did was I decided that my prickly teenagers, because let's face it, most teenagers are prickly, and they were really squishy, wonderful, loving babies.
At one point in time, right.
Yes, they were wonderful. But as teenagers, they morph. And they're wonderful people, and sometimes they're prickly. And so I decided we're going to do a family mastermind, and I'm going to teach them financial literacy. And so I started out by it was absolutely mandatory that they show up. And it was every second Friday at the dining room table, and there was homework, and they had to have the homework done prior to showing up, because otherwise there was going to be some words.
Talk about a tight ship. But you know what? Yeah. Parents need to do that more. I remember growing up, and my dad, and he hasn't changed. My whole family, we all live on the same block. And, yeah, we all live down the street from each other, so I still go to my mom's house and steal groceries. I think she knows by now. My sister does anyway. But, there's just having structure in your household. I think there's too many parents that try to be their children's friend. And my daughter's 22, my son's 11, And I told my son, I'm not here, son, to be your friend. Like I have a short time to be with you before you have the rest of your life to not make mistakes. And,
and then
these
you
are
can
the
be
things
friends.
we're going to work with. Oh, yeah, we totally be friends down the road. And my dad raises like that. And we grew up in a rough part of town growing up, but my brothers are attorneys. I do what my sister thinks I'm just a social media guy, but I do so much more than that. But I like the financial aspect of what you're talking about. I actually want to let's talk about that when we come back from break, because I go to the mastermind and we learn so many things and all the opportunities.
Yes, I want to share what happened like from that, from my being frustrated with the school system to what it actually has turned into, which is much bigger than I ever imagined. And
the connections that came with that, and the conversations. I posted a text of my wife and I on Instagram, and in short, the text went along the lines of, I'm trying to beat you to $1 million annually. And she's like, well, I don't know you're going to be able to do that because I'm doing this, and the other. And I said, well, I'm doing this, that, and the other. So to have those conversations, and to have my son bring him up at the dinner table, Daddy, I think Mommy's going to beat you to $1 million. Like these are good conversations. So folks, we are here to help you. This is the American Dream Impactor Show. And you can hear us every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. on 960 The Patriot, KKNT. And we'll give you our social media handles throughout the show so you can follow the journey that we are both on as we continue to grow ourselves and to add value to you. Again, the American Dream Impactor Show. And we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the American Dream Impactor Show. I'm your host, Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Bell.
And we are going to continue to talk about, today we're focused on finances, and I think that's important. At the time this show is 2/22/22, and I don't know all the woo-woo stuff that goes on behind that, but apparently by way of what you just told us, it's pretty important. But let's talk about this financial mastermind that you got going on.
Yes. Okay, and I love so what you just said, finances. Now, some people it's not that we're materialistic. That's not it at all. It's that here's what I'm really clear about. Money is like oxygen. The more you have, the easier it is to breathe.
You say we're not materialistic. So I've sat in the back of a Rolls-Royce Phantom. The carpet feels different than it did in my Hyundai Accent.
Yes.
I've purchased cheap leather goods, and when I buy Louis Vuitton, the leather, it smells different. It feels better.
Yes.
I've eaten 99-cent hamburgers. Actually, they were $35 hamburgers because I bought it and got non-sufficient fees years past. But I've also, I just had my mom's birthday at Eddie V's, and the beef was different. So I don't know. You can say I'm materialistic. I like things that have value to them.
Absolutely. And going along with that, again, if money is like oxygen,
which it is,
and the more oxygen we have, the easier it is to breathe, then the more money we have, the bigger the impact in the world that we can make. And I believe all humans inherently are here and want to make a difference in the world. And so when that piece is taken care of, there's a huge impact that we can absolutely have. And so that was a huge piece of the mastermind in teaching my twins financial literacy before they leave home. Because the reality is they're teenagers and they're getting ready to graduate and leave home. And so it started out just, the three of us at the kitchen table every second Friday. They had to do their homework, had to show up. And I taught them, and it's all the way, it covers every area. The mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual, because all of those areas need to be handled and taken care of, and they need skills in all those areas. But again, school does not teach them that. So it's up to me. And so that's where we started. And I'm now engaged to an incredible man. And his family ended up hearing about what we were up to. Well, they ended up inviting themselves to my kitchen table.
Of course they did. That only makes sense.
Right? So they were inviting themselves to come in. Anyway, fast forward an entire year of doing this, and I was really rigorous. Like, you are on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Like, we got some pretty rigorous standards because we had some amazing things to cover. And they all did their homework. They all showed up. Like, no kidding. I'm talking like people were driving 3 hours one way to come for this little 2.5-hour meeting and staying for 5-6 hours because it was just so juicy and incredible. And the things that showed up out of it were absolutely amazing. So fast forward, we do our completion at the end of the year. Over 40 people were directly impacted and much more than that indirectly impacted. But what came out of it was mind-blowing. So there was over, collectively they had made a combined $100,000 more than what they had made the year before. Mm-hmm. Collectively, they had eliminated over $76,000 of debt, and collectively, they had invested more than $50,000 in that simple year of sitting at my kitchen table and learning all these strategies. But more importantly, here's the thing that was so miraculous. There were family members in that family that had not spoke to each other in over 20 years. The relationships were fractured. And as a result, the healing that came and the love and affinity that is present, I mean, it was extraordinary. Steve's parents were there at the completion, and they just kept coming up to me saying, we cannot believe, we never imagined that all of these people would be in the same place at the same time, but more importantly, loving each other.
I think there's and we'll talk about this when we come back from break, but there's a thing that happens when the family's focus. Like my whole family, we have Sunday dinners and you know, we all live on the same block, but it didn't start that way, right? When we first started that process of coming together, there was a lot of, you know, he's the favorite, no, she's the favorite, and right. I didn't like my brothers, right? I had lived it because I felt that being the oldest, I experienced a lot of harshness. And then when we moved, I was 17. Like I was, whatever was going to happen to me as a youth, it happened to me. And they didn't experience any of that stuff. And I think, folks, when you can push aside like everything that you have going on in your life and make family a focal point, and you start with, you know what? Excuse me. What are some reasons this won't work? Let's talk. Let's get the ugly out. When you can intentionally get the ugly out, it makes the rest of your year great. You might have a crying session,
yes,
right, for the first time that you guys meet, right? It does happen, but that's okay, and it allows people to see who you are and where you are. Folks, this is the American Dream Impactor Show with Catherine Bell and Dom Fawcett, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the American Dream Impactor Show. I'm your host, Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Bell.
And, you know, we've covered a lot during this show, but one of the things that I want to leave you with, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to leave you with something that you can do or utilize or research that if, capital I, capital F, if you implement it, will be a game changer, not just for you, but for your family and years to come. We've talked a lot about finances, but folks, let me explain something to you. Two things. One thing I want you to understand, and then another thing I want you to implement. Money will not make you happy.
No.
I remember when I bought my first 6-figure car, and early that morning, my best friend died in a motorcycle accident. My wife and I are heavy into racing motorcycles, but that was a game changer for me. So understand, if you're not happy now, you ain't going to be happy when the money comes rolling in.
Right.
Like, that is factual. But one thing that helped me, I was an angry man when I got out of law enforcement. Very angry when I got out of the military as well. You know, forgiveness goes, for me, I say for me, I'm being modest. You need to forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive your parents, forgive your siblings, forgive your ex, forgive everybody that you hold an angst towards. And that was the hugest thing that people are like, Dom, I've known you over the years. You seem a little happier now. And that's when guys talk, like, we don't want to sound when we talk to each other. So we just find a way to say some things that are awkward. But, happiness is huge. Happiness comes from you and nobody else.
Yes.
As my mom used to tell me, she was a rough mom. She's like, I don't owe you a thing. I was like, ugh, that hurt. I was like 30. And I was like, you prior military ex-cop coming to my mom, you owe me an apology for this. And she just looked me dead in my, I don't owe you a thing.
She doesn't.
I was like that. Even when I say it now, she gave me a lot of life.
You're good.
Exactly. You got your jerks.
Suck it up.
Exactly. That's another phrase she used to say, and I used to get in trouble at work for saying that. But so I'm going to leave you with forgiveness. That's a lot to take in, folks. Let me explain something to you. What you will find with Catherine is, and I can say this because her husband's here. She's a little nerdy. So. She always gives me
a lot nerdy.
You always give me books. I like you every week. Can you let 2 weeks go by before you send me?
No.
I have purchased more books since January. I have a lot of books. But
so you're a part of our mastermind. That's where this is coming from. So we have a lot of incredible conversations.
And there's always books involved. But there are incredible conversations. So Catherine, what do you got for them? I know you have something that is a lot of work involved.
So there are a lot of books, and we'll cover a lot of those books. But it comes down to you are like the 5 people you spend the most time with. That includes the books that you read. Now, I have a really difficult time actually reading. My reading comprehension is horrible. I didn't learn to read till I was in the 8th grade. Got all the way through school without doing that. But what I did learn how to do is to listen. So I happen to love Audible. All of the books I read are on Audible, and I usually listen to them at speed like 1.5 to 2. So it's really, really fast, but that's how my brain processes.
Right.
So it's a matter of like getting to know ourselves, right? And what works for us. There is no one plan that works for every single person. What works for me is different than what works for you. Most 70% of the planet is visual learners, right? There's only 7% of people who are auditory like me. So whatever it is, some people like to listen to the Audible book while reading along. So whatever that is, whatever works for you. So getting to know yourself and the forgiveness. And so here's what I would give everybody if I could give them, anything, is that, first of all, you were put on this planet to make a difference. I absolutely promise you were. And you were given a dream. Nobody else was given that dream but you. And the reason you were given that dream is because it's up to you to actually make that difference on the planet. So when people wander around and are carrying on about why don't they change this? Why don't they change that? No, it's because it's you. If you have that on your heart, it's up to you to make that difference that you're here to make. Like, the difference for me is that there's over 500,000 children in the U.S. foster care system. 350,000 are available for adoption today. It costs less than $1,000 to adopt. So I have a nonprofit, and we put together a grant program to work with adoption agencies and churches to get all of these children adopted. Because if each church, there's more than 350,000 churches in this country, if each church took on finding one family to adopt one child, we could absolutely get this done in my lifetime, and I believe it's going to happen. Now, was that
the
dream
catalyst behind it?
Was that dream put on anybody else's heart but mine? I don't know, but it was put on my heart, so it was up to me to do something about it. So I would give everybody, seriously, spend some quiet time and really look deep within yourself. What is on your heart? What difference are you here to make? And then from there, really spend some time soul searching and create goals in the 5 areas: mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual. And when you create those goals, you write them in a future tense, like, I am so happy and grateful that ... has happened. And then what I do in the mastermind is, so everybody's wrote it out. Then they had to record themselves, which that was a struggle because nobody likes it.
No, they don't like hearing. I don't like hearing myself. Well, sometimes we don't like hearing you either. But anyways, go ahead and record yourself.
But then the whole point is to listen to it every single night before you go to bed. So that what's happening is our unconscious minds believe us. So whatever we're telling ourselves unconsciously, consciously in our head, that dialogue that goes on is more powerful than you could begin to imagine. So when we're not paying attention to those thoughts that are in our head and whatever we're saying to ourselves, it can be detrimental to our lives, or it could be a huge catalyst to make amazing things happen. So when we listen to ourselves and our goals every single night before we go to sleep, then our mind goes to sleep and all night long dreams and finds creative ways, and God, the universe, our unconscious mind, everything is conspiring to have our heart's deepest desires to happen. And then the miracles start to happen. Because as we go about our lives, it is extraordinary what actually shows up in like common hours.
Well, and so folks, if you're the type of person like me, like when somebody tells me to sit still and I'm like, okay, I'm out. I can't. I've meditated, the longest I've meditated for like 7 minutes. And it was like 2 minutes in, 5 minutes of I need to be done. But, and you said at the top of this segment, do what works for you. So one you can do, fun. If you're just I'm a very antsy, like I move a lot, not in my chair, but like I get a lot done in a very short period of time, but fun. I race motorcycles. But when I was broke, I had a therapist say, go back to do the thing that put a smile on your face. Mine was skateboarding.
Yes.
So here I was, hardened ex-cop, prior military dude, walking into the skateboard store, feeling all weird in my combat boots, because I still had to wear them with my jeans because that just made sense. I bought a skateboard. And you can't be angry when you kick push on a skateboard. Like, you don't want to be the angry guy in the skate park. So whatever that, maybe you can sit down and be still, like Catherine.
No.
That.
Okay, so when I say be still, I just mean quiet your mind. Like, turn off the radio, turn off the TV, turn off all the noise, and listen to what's coming out. Like, I can't sit still either. I like doing puzzles. I like gardening. I like walking, hiking, whatever it is, but shut off the noise so you can hear the internal dialogue. And for me, I intentionally do puzzles. I intentionally do different things because it's inside of when I'm distracting my conscious mind with doing these other things, then my unconscious mind shows up and starts coming out really loud about what the actual internal dialogue is. So I intentionally am always doing other things that bring a smile to my face that are, distracts the conscious mind so that the unconscious mind can show up. So it's shutting off the noise, the external noise. That's what I talk about.
And it's so easy to do that when you've forgiven and you have fun. Like when I wake up, I have toys all over my house, like from the garage to the inside of that. Like there's all the backyard. When you wake up and you see fun, it's you say, you like the puzzle and the gardening. I can't keep a plant alive for a day, but you like doing these things. It's doing things that bring your mind to focus on that thing.
Yes.
And that for you has been beneficial. Obviously for myself, it's been a win. And then if you get your spouse to do it, we do the things that I do. But folks, let me say this. If you were to just listen to what was said just the last couple of minutes, that's fantastic. But if you implement, there's going to be so much change. The implementation happens when you just get over yourself. I had to get over myself.
Yeah, and I tell my kids, listen, I don't care what you know. I only care what you do. Knowing is the booby prize. It's only inside
knowing
of
is doing. The what?
Knowing is the booby prize.
I know a lot, and I mean, I don't get all those prizes all the time. I mean, I have a lovely wife, and anyways, but
it's a useless prize. It doesn't matter. It only matters inside of what you do. That's all that matters. I know you two are good. Goodness. Come on.
Oh, man. Some of us will never grow up. I am one of those individuals.
Okay, I won't use that word again.
No, feel free. It leads to other conversations. But, folks, this is 960 The Patriot, not that kind of show. We are serious. We are educated. We are honed in on developing you and helping you grow mentally, spiritually. I don't even want to say physically now, but anyways. So we talked about the books, the forgiveness. And yes, there's a lot to do. But one thing I like that you said, and I just know this because we've talked about it, is the future tense. So the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year.
Yes.
And you said spiritual. What were the 5?
Mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual.
Huge.
Your every goal you ever want, I promise you, fits into one of those 5 categories.
And it allows us to focus on what's needed for our life.
Yes.
And but the other thing you said was record yourself. Folks, if you don't like listening to your voice, just get over it, because that's how you sound when you go to the grocery store. That's how you sound when you when you talk to your spouse. That's how you sound when you yell, when you lovingly show affection verbally to your kids.
Or when you're beating up on yourself internally. Right?
It's how you sound.
Yes.
Change it.
Yes.
And it allows you to, when you get comfortable with your voice, you get comfortable with who you are as a person, from head to toe. You walk in with confidence. You don't think about who's looking at you. I mean, it's all branding. You want people to look at you. Because if they don't look at you, then you feel like you don't exist. So which one do you want? Do you want to feel like you've been validated? That's why we have cats and dogs. Right. That's why I have dogs, because they validate me. When I walk in the house, they're like my little cheerleaders. I had 3 Frenchies. I walk in the house and they just no little tail cells or like little midgets. I don't know. Can we say that? Anyways, they're like these little dogs, and they just show me all this love.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally. That's what it is. You have dogs, and
I do. I've got 3 dogs,
and they show you love. So at the end of the day, you are responsible. I was responsible for validating me. You are responsible for validating you, unless, of course, you have a cool host on a radio show like Catherine Bell. Then we can just validate each other all day long, but you wouldn't want that. And Steve's twice my height, so he wouldn't want that either. And that's her husband. But, folks, there's so much that you can take in from this show. And we are very intentional with the information that we bring you. It's not going to be like a syllabus, a structured environment like that. But I know we want you to listen, and we want you to really take heed to what's being said.
But more importantly, take action.
Yeah, it's
take action. Because here's the deal. If you take action, one tiny, teeny, tiny little action every single day, that would be 1 degree in your life after an entire year, right? 352 little tiny things that you did to impact your life. But you have to do it. Not think about it, not talk about it, dream about it. You have to do it.
Don't overanalyze. And don't call yourself an overanalyzer. But what you do want to call yourself is awesome. As we wrap up the American Dream Impactor Show, I'm your host, Dom Fawcett.
And Catherine Bell.
And we look forward to seeing you on the other side.